In today's video, we're looking at the intense regional variations that shape not only the structures of the Constitution, but also the evolving national identity of the young United States. While the Revolutionary War brought the 13 colonies together under a shared cause, deep differences rooted in geography, economy, politics, and culture continued to pull them apart. From heated debates at the Constitutional Convention to competing visions of art, architecture, and literature, these tensions forged the foundations of the American Republic. Let's get started. While the Revolutionary War united the colonies in pursuit of independence, regional divisions, especially between the North and South, intensified in its aftermath. The Constitutional Convention of 1787 revealed these tensions in stark relief. Delegates clashed over issues of representation, trade, and slavery, with economic and geographic differences shaping each debate. Richard Dobbs Speight, a delegate from North Carolina, voiced Southern concerns when he complained that Northern states would, and I quote, sacrifice our national strength and dignity in hopes of rendering themselves more conspicuous. This remark captures how mistrust between regions was already festering, transforming geographic and economic rivalries into ideological and political ones. The most striking example of this division came in what would later be called the Dirty Compromise. This was the agreement over the continuation of the transatlantic slave trade. Northern delegates agreed not to interfere in the trade for at least 20 years in exchange for Southern support on other matters. Though distasteful to many, the compromise revealed how desperate the convention was to hold the Union together. It was a grim calculation: protect regional power now to secure national unity later. The regional divide continued after the Constitution was ratified, and one early flashpoint was the Tariff Act of 1789. This act placed a tax on imported goods, immediately revealing the conflicting economic interest of North and South. Northern states building early industries favored a higher tariff to protect their products from foreign competition. Southern states, relying heavily on agriculture and foreign imports, wanted lower tariffs to keep goods affordable. Alexander Hamilton, the first Secretary of the Treasury, stepped in to broker a compromise. Though he preferred a higher rate, he agreed to a lower one to appease the South. To recover lost revenue, he introduced an excise tax on whiskey. This solution postponed the worst of the tensions, but it was only the beginning of a long and contentious economic rivalry between North and South. Despite these divides, a national culture began to emerge during the late colonial period and into the early republic. One English traveler noted in 1759 that the colonies were so different in character, manners, religion, and interest that if left alone, there would soon be a civil war from one end of the continent to the other. And yet, the idea of a shared American identity began to take shape, an identity anchored in republicanism. Republicanism, the belief that power stems from the people and not a monarchy, had already taken root before the Revolution. It became a central pillar of the Constitution and a unifying political ideology. Members of the Constitutional Convention, though divided, ultimately shared this belief and made compromises to ensure that the Union would survive under a Republican government. This new American identity found expression in art, literature, and architecture, all of which echoed Republican values and the vision of a united, forward looking nation. In art and literature, portraits of American statesmen by artists like Benjamin West and Gilbert Stuart celebrated the heroes of the Revolution and the birth of the Republic. Judith Sargent Murray, one of the earliest advocates of women's rights, published an essay in 1784 defending women's access to education. Although her views were ahead of her time, They contributed to the intellectual life of the early republic. Poetry, too, echoed national aspirations. In 1772, the poem on the rising glory of America envisioned the country as the seat of empire and the final stage of civilization. This belief in America's unique destiny would shape politics and culture for generations to come. Noah Webster, a schoolmaster from Connecticut, contributed to national unity through language. His 1828 dictionary standardized American English with distinct spelling, vocabulary, and grammar. He argued that Americans should lisp the praise of liberty and always remember the heroes who made their revolution possible. In architecture, Republican values were literally built into the landscape. Thomas Jefferson designed both his home, Monticello, and the University of Virginia with classical elements drawn from ancient Rome, a civilization admired for its Republican ideals. Perhaps the most striking symbol of this architectural vision was the United States Capitol in Washington, D.C. In 1792, Jefferson proposed a design competition, and the winning entry by William Thornton drew inspiration from Rome's Pantheon. The Capitol structure, its columns, domes, and symbolism, became a permanent expression of the American Republic's foundations. The early years of the American Republic were shaped by deep regional variations that influenced debate, policy, and the very structure of the government. From the contentious compromises of the Constitutional Convention to the uneasy balance struck by the Tariff of 1789, North and South often stood on opposite sides of critical issues. Yet out of this division emerged a growing sense of shared identity, one expressed through Republican ideals and captured in the young nation's art, literature, and architecture. These tensions and commonalities didn't just shape the early Republic, they continue to echo through American history. Understanding this complex foundation is key to understanding the challenges and the triumphs of the United States, both then and now. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.